Welcome back, guys. It is time for another edition of Inside Major League Pickleball. And today, so thrilled to have our guest on this week, one of the OGs of the sport. We will get to his intro in just a moment. But first, we have to thank our sponsors. As always, starting with Pro XR, the official paddle of MLP, the only paddle custom fit for your grip. Knockaround, the official sunglasses of MLP. Quality shades that won't break the bank. And Aura Organic, the official nutrition partner of Major League Pickleball. Transform your health with plant-based nutrition from Aura. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Mish McMahon, sports broadcaster, one of the voices of Major League Pickleball, Tyson Apostle, reality TV show legend. So legendary, I can't even say it.
It's hard. It's a mouthful.
It's a mouthful. We don't know where Casey is this week. Hopefully he's okay. Hi, Casey. We miss you.
Is he in Mexico again, trapped somewhere?
He might be. We don't know. He's in a car somewhere, trapped somewhere. Mexico, vacation, Utah. We don't know. One of the options is plausible there. But the reason we're here this week is one of the OGs of the sport.
I would say the OG.
The OG.
Like if I'm looking at the landscape right now, currently as it sits, he's been in the sport maybe longer than anybody that we know.
Over a decade. And he's a 13-time major champ. He's a 5-time men's pro doubles U.S. Open champ, as recent as Sunday, getting the gold medal there. He is Kyle Yates and currently a member of the Florida Smash for Major League Pickleball. He was also involved in the trade that sent a couple of members of the Vegas Night Owls over to the Florida Smash. So very interesting storylines to dive into. But first, Kyle, thank you for joining us. So happy to have you on. Let's begin. I would like to start with your voyage in the sport of pickleball, because as the OG, you helped a lot of the pros that are top of the line here get involved in the sport. So what's your journey? How did you find it? And where have you seen it go from your starting point?
All right. Well, first off, I'm stoked to be here. Thanks for having me. It's been a crazy ride, to say the least. Like you guys said, I've been playing for over 10 years. I know I seem young. I turned 28 last week.
Yeah, that is, you're young.
You are young.
But I've been playing. Yeah, I've been playing since I was, like Dylan Frazier's age. I started when I was about 15 in high school. My uncle, one of his racquetball buddies, started playing, and so just like anybody else, someone said, "Hey, I got this new sport for you. It's a lot of fun. You should try it." And I said, "Well, what is it called?" He goes, "Well, it's pickleball." And I just laughed at him. I said, "No way, I'm good. I don't have time." But he got me out to this rec center near our house one evening, and I went in, and they had 3 courts on like a gym, like basketball court, with they had lowered the badminton nets. So these little saggy nets and on badminton lines, and they're a bunch of seniors, and they're just whacking a wiffle ball around, and you hear that noise all over the place, and it's like, what is going on in here? But it looked fun, looked interesting, and so I played a game of singles with him on one of the courts, and I had a blast. It's like, man, it's like mini tennis. This is awesome. So I loved it, but I had school, I had tennis practice and whatnot. So I played maybe once a month with him for a year or two, a couple years in high school. And then finally, senior in high school, I found some local tournaments in the area. So I went down to Naples, East Naples Community Park, and they had a bunch of temporary nets set up. And actually, the players would help set up the courts. So we would take out the nets and set up the nets and put the lines down before the tournament. And everything was done on paper. And I won my division because I was like 17 years old, and I think the guy I played in the singles final was like 40.
Okay.
No offense.
None taken.
But there was no one my age playing.
In my 40s.
There was no one my age playing. There was one of the other guys I played with. His son played, but he was like 10. But there was no one my age. I didn't even tell my friends I was playing, honestly.
Okay. Well, let's put ourselves back there, because most of the pickleball players now and people listening to this podcast everywhere you turn is only within the last few years. So over 10 years ago, you hear pickleball, but you don't know what it is. In Florida, even, like, it was not really popularized back then, even. And you go in there and you see all these old people playing, and you are now like, it's all just like this grassroots thing of people discovering this game and then building everything around it, right? Like you had to like makeshift everything.
Sure. I mean, this was even kind of before social media even got really popular. So it was just kind of a group of people, and it was just spread by word of mouth. And there were no courts. I mean, I had never seen an outdoor court, a real court. We would go to this local park tennis courts, and I'd always have a bungee cord and chalk in my bag because we would chalk the lines and we use the bungee cord to pull the center of the net down. So you couldn't go around the post. That wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
No way.
And I remember
Did you ever envision that being a thing? Were you?
You know, when I first saw a real pickleball court, I went and played a local tournament at this RV park and in Florida, and they had permanent courts. And I walked up and I saw these like 4 permanent courts. I looked at them and I go, this is the coolest looking thing ever. It was just a little mini tennis court. And so I got to play, and that was the first time I'd ever played with a Duraball.
Yeah.
You guys don't even know the balls we used to use back the way.
Well, let's talk about them. What were they? Okay.
It was called the Jugs, and we played indoors, and it was real squishy, real soft.
Really?
There wasn't a ton of dinking. I didn't really dink. I just like to rip it at people and try to hit them. That was just kind of how you played. But the villages, it was getting popular in the villages. But pickleball is one of those sports, until you hear about it, you don't even know it exists. And then once you hear about it, all of a sudden you see it everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's so true.
at this time, the villages were starting to catch on. People were starting to retire there. They take it back to their summer homes up in the Midwest and whatnot. And so it was just spreading gradually, just from word of mouth through friends.
And you were so young when you started. Did you feel like the shit? Like, because I'm imagining like old people coming up and being like, dude, you're so young and you hit the ball so hard and you're awesome. Was that like that's just like my perception of you, just like walking around being like,
instant legend.
I own all these old people and everyone's flocking to me because I'm young and cool.
Kinda. There wasn't like the star power yet, but it was more like, oh, he's just young. Oh, he's just good because he's just really fast. But what really happened was when I went to college, I went to University of Florida, which was only about 40 minutes from the villages. And I had played against this guy named Robert Elliott in Naples at a tournament. And he was about 40 at the time. He's actually now the founder and owner of Engage Pickleball.
Okay.
But I would go visit him and his family and stay at the villages all weekend and play pickleball with a bunch of the top players at the villages. And I wouldn't tell any of my friends in college where I was going on the weekend. It has to be, okay, can you come party Friday, Saturday night? No, I can't. I'm out of town. I wouldn't even tell them where I was going.
What do you think would have happened if you would have told them?
I wouldn't have been as cool. I wouldn't have been as popular.
They would have been like, pickleball? What's that? Is that a drinking game?
So how long before like you were nationally recognized within the sport of pickleball? Because I know it was probably a really small network at that time. Like, when was the moment where everybody was saying Kyle Yates?
June 2014.
Okay. And what happened in June 2014?
So my first ever tournament outside of the state of Florida, I went to Southern California, Oceanside, California, for the SoCal Classic, which back then was a pretty prominent tournament. All the best players were going to play there, meaning all the best players in Chris Miller, Wesley Gabrielson, Tim Nelson, Jennifer LaCour. If you guys don't know who these people are, you've probably only been playing a couple of years.
Yeah.
But these are the best players in the world back then. But all the best players from out west, Seattle, California, Utah, they were playing in this tournament, and I wanted to go see how I would do because I was winning everything in Florida. I was ranked number 1 in the country back then because I had accumulated so many points from winning all these tournaments in Florida. USA Pickleball actually had a ranking system back then. But I wanted to see how I would do against the best players. So actually a friend of mine bought me a plane ticket and flew me out to California.
So at this point, you'd told someone that you play pickleball. If you have a friend,
one of the guys I played with.
Pickleball friend. Okay, still keeping separate.
Pickleball friend.
Lives.
Yeah, pickleball guy.
A double life.
Friends.
Okay.
He wanted to see how I would do. So he suggested I go play this tournament. I couldn't afford it. I was 19, and he flew me out there. I didn't even have a partner. I didn't know a single person. So I registered needing partners. I partnered up with this wonderful lady in mixed. She let me stay at her house and play the tournament mixed doubles with her. And I signed up and got partnered with a random guy and played the doubles and got fourth in mixed, fourth in men's. And the last day was singles. And I won gold in the pro singles, beating the number one ranked guy at the time, which was Wesley Gabrielson, who was in MLP last year.
Yeah. So as you showed up to that tournament, were there people from the other states that recognized you because you were ranked number one, or at that time were you still like pretty unknown?
They had heard of me, and they just saw this punk tennis kid from Florida that thought he was like way too good for this sport coming in, and so I came across as super cocky and obnoxious.
That wasn't your fault though. That was
I probably was. No, I mean I honestly, just if you get to know me, just my demeanor. I mean, I came across as probably just real standoffish, but I was just shy.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't know anybody, and honestly, it was a lot of pressure on me because I knew if I didn't do well in this tournament, I probably wouldn't play pickleball.
Yeah.
But so I didn't know anybody, and I was shy, a little introverted, so I was just kind of on my own. And so they thought, oh, this kid doesn't even want to talk to anybody. What's his problem? But I just didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
And I played, and I was super competitive, and went 110% and was loud and yelling, and that threw people off because at the time it was, a bunch of people, bunch of friends playing a pickleball tournament, good vibes. It wasn't as competitive. I mean, it was, you play, and if you lose, you go have a beer. It's not a big deal. There's no prize money, but it meant a lot to me, and I wanted to win, and I was super competitive, and but I ended up winning the singles, and yeah, it meant a lot to me.
So you mentioned some names. Are there any familiar names in the landscape now that were there back then? I mean, I recognize some of the ones you said, but like, is there any?
A few?
Yeah, let's go through people that are like on MLP teams or something like that.
Well, there's none on MLP teams.
None on MLP.
I'm the only player on an MLP team that competed at the 2014 Nationals.
Okay. Wow.
So at the time, the women who won, the pro women, was Jennifer LaCour and Alex Hamner. Mm-hmm. They won nationals like 5 years in a row back then. So the guys who won gold in that tournament in doubles was Brian Ashworth and Chris Miller.
Okay.
So Mills plays senior pro.
Yeah.
And then Brian, I still play some tournaments with Brian.
Yeah, he took a break and now he came back like a year or two ago.
Sure. But Wesley Gabrielson was number one in the world at the time.
Yep.
And I'm trying to think. So some of the other top guys at the time was like Steve Wong, Enrique Ruiz, Matthew Blom, some of the ladies, Gigi Lemaster, Mona Burnett, Heidi Hancock. You guys probably have no idea who I'm talking about.
None. I mean, I recognize some of the names, but the last three you said when you looked to me for acknowledgement, I was like, no.
No, exactly.
I mean, I've been here.
What about Simone though? When
Simone didn't start until 2000. I think her first nationals might have been 2015.
Okay.
But I met her over the summer in 2015. I played against her, and I think her second tournament ever in Michigan, and she was really good.
So you do this tournament 2014, but like you said, you didn't even have money to travel to the tournament. So now you're going to some tournaments. Who's covering the cost of these? Do you have a job? Are people helping you? Are sponsors helping you? Like, how are you playing
where
pickleball?
Are you living? Yeah.
There were no. I was still in school. There were no sponsors. But 2014, I played maybe 3 tournaments outside of Florida. I played the SoCal, and I played a couple of the USA Pickleball regional tournaments.
Okay.
But registration fees were a little cheaper. But I still had to pay for my flight and stay somewhere. I usually would stay with somebody that lived there as a host. But then later that year, I went to the Nationals in 2014. I played with Robert Elliott, and they covered all my costs to go play with him. And we won gold in the 19 and up division, and we got 4th in the pro doubles.
So at that time, like with my current skill set, but we take a time machine back then, had I called you and been like, yo, Kyle, I'll cover all your fees, I'll cover your flight and stuff, come be my partner at this thing, you would have hopped on a plane?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
If you cover my expenses, I would have done it.
Yeah. And so
I just wanted to play. Back then, we didn't play for money. We played because we wanted the practice and get to compete against other people. It was really just for the love of the game and to get better. winning money wasn't even on our minds.
There's a wholesome nature to that. Like, is there anything that you miss about the ground roots, the grassroots of the sport to
Hmm.
not to like downplay what it's become, as I think we're all like amazed and excited about the sport, but what do you miss, I guess, of that, the purity of the grassroots time?
I'll tell you what I miss most about back then. Back then, you would play the tournament and you would finish, I don't know, maybe 5, 6 o'clock, and you'd stick around and you play rec games the rest of the evening with everybody.
Oh,
Now, when I'm done with the tournament, I'm ready to get out of there, or I'm tired and I'm sore. Back then, you just
yeah.
wanted to play all day, all day.
And did everybody stick around? Or is that
Most,
just because of your
most of them,
youthful?
no, most of them, everyone in the pro division, we'd stick around and everyone would just keep playing. You'd play and then you'd sit around and everyone would watch the finals. You wouldn't just leave. When you lose, you wouldn't leave. You'd hang out, you'd have a beer, you'd sit around and you'd watch the rest of the tournament. Everyone stick around for the finals, and then we play a bunch of rec games afterwards.
Okay.
How much of that though was like your also like early beginnings in the sport? Like I feel like there's a natural trajectory of like you're obsessed with it and then it like kind of like levels out for everybody, I would say. I mean, I think for the most part people still stay like hungry to stay involved, but how much of that was also like your early interest and like excitement for the sport itself?
Probably a lot of it. I mean, probably a lot of it. We just love playing, but you could
Yeah.
just feel that everyone was getting better constantly. Even now, I still feel like, everyone's getting better and better and better. But back then, I just feel like you didn't have the opportunity to play with these people very often, so you want to take advantage of it. Where
Yeah.
nowadays, there's good players everywhere, there's courts everywhere. So back then, if I got to hang out with some of these guys from Seattle, I wanted to play with them as much as possible because I
Yeah,
didn't
that
know when I
makes
was going to see them
sense.
again. I'd see them 3 times a year.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So nowadays, if there were a few people that were like, Kyle, stay after, we're gonna play rec games, would you, or are you part of the problem and the thing you miss?
Depends how I'm feeling.
Okay.
Depends how I'm feeling. Yeah, normally after a day, it's like I'm tired and kind of ready to go eat and get out of there, pickle it
Well,
out.
well, and yeah, I think you also touched on like everybody's getting better. Like the games are harder probably than they were back then. They're tougher on your
Hmm.
body, and it's not just because you're getting older. It's because people are moving faster. The shots are harder. You're like all of that. And so, yeah, I can see how that naturally has progressed to, you know, having to recover. When was in this timeline? When was the first time you started seeing people actually make some money? Where like and what did you think of that? Was there ever a hope like that at this time, like this is my career, this is what I'm going to be doing?
Uh, April of 2016,
Okay.
the first U.S. Open. So there was a tournament beforehand that preceded the U.S. Open. It was called the Tournament of Champions in Utah,
Yep.
and that was the first tournament with real prize money, which was $1,500 for first place. And they did a great job setting the groundwork for pro events. But the first U.S. Open experience for me was, wow, this is real. Pickleball tournaments are a real thing. There's real prize money. This is gonna grow, and this could be something special someday. And so that was the realization where I need to take this a lot more seriously because if I want if I want to be a professional pickleball player in 5 years, I mean I need to start training now because people are going to get into the sport real fast. And that's exactly what happened. By 2017, I started playing with Ben Johns. 2018, there was a pro tour. I mean, it just kind of just kept spiraling from there. But that first U.S. Open was the realization this is going to be my profession for the foreseeable future.
And you didn't
So,
tell any of the other guys there because that's why none of them are here now.
Well, I lost to
Kept that.
Marcin Respetsky in the singles final that
Uh-huh.
year, and Dave Weinbach and I beat Daniel Moore and Wes Gabrielson in the men's final. Sarah Ansbury and Christine McGrath won the women's title, pretty
Okay.
sure.
They're still around.
that's,
People are still around. So
yeah.
yeah.
Lucy
Okay.
Kovalova and Matt Wright competed. So that was when a lot of people started getting into the sport.
So where would you say you're at now, like with your approach to you've been around the sport the longest, so I imagine there's been ebbs and flows to where you see yourself at now as one of the original pros of the sport. So what's your approach now to where you see yourself in the sport?
I'm just taking it day at a time. honestly. I'm just enjoying it. Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun watching some of the matches. I mean, seeing like J-Dub in Georgia and Dylan and Big Papa Jimmy and these guys. It's really cool to see where the sport has gone. I know the PPA and MLP, the APP, the U.S. Open. I mean, all these entities have done such a good job just promoting. So it's crazy to look back and see where we come from, and it's crazy to think where are we gonna be. So I try not to get caught up in all that and think about where I fit. It's more of like I'm just gonna do me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Smart.
So competing MLP is a blast. I absolutely love it. Playing the tournaments, the US Open this past week was one of my favorite tournaments of all time. I just had so much fun, and so yeah, just enjoying it, knowing that it doesn't last forever.
Yeah. Before we get into the trades and whatnot with Major League Pickleball this season, I want to ask you if you could go back and talk to your 18-year-old self and tell him, knowing what you know now, where the sport has gone, what advice or what would you tell him? What advice would you give? What would be your message to
So a few things. One, I would say, dude, put your left hand on the paddle for your backhand. Because I was committed to a one-handed backhand for so long, thinking that a two-hander was not cool, and now everybody's doing a two-handed backhand. So I would have started earlier with that. I would have told myself, hey, you can spin the toss on your serve before you hit the ball. Nobody, I mean, you're going to kill everybody. They can't return your serve. You just spin the ball. So I would have, done the chainsaw serve sooner. But also I probably would have said, you need to train a lot more because people are coming. They're going to be young, they're going to be fit, and they're going to be hungry to beat you. And so you better start training. You better actually stretch. And so I would have taken it a lot more seriously. But at the time, it's hindsight. But back then, you just didn't know.
Yeah, of course not. How would you?
Yeah, that's how it is. But I mean, you've done
I also probably would not have given Ben John so many lessons.
Were they free? Were they free lessons too?
Yeah. We would train. We drilled and drilled and drilled for months, and I was like, oh, this guy's gonna be pretty good, but I don't think he's gonna be better than me.
Oh,
oh no! So go back and be like, yeah, don't trade Ben Johns. Discourage him at all costs.
Fun fact: Kyle certified me also as a pickleball certified coach. Is that what it's called? I don't know. Instructor? I don't even know. Whatever it was.
It doesn't sound very official.
No, it was official.
Okay.
I paid for it.
She's a certified pickleball instructor.
Okay.
Yes. When it was COVID and I had nothing going on, I was like, "Hey, Kyle, will you train me? Thanks. Bye."
Okay.
That's a fun fact.
So, Michelle, if you ever surpass Kyle's talents and beat him like in an MLP final,
I bet he really regrets training me.
Yeah, I wish I never would have done that for Michelle. Let's get into the MLP stuff. So, first season of MLP, you were drafted to, I forget the ownership group.
Me too, but it was the Chimeras.
The Chimeras. Okay, so the Chimeras. And I remember specifically, not a lot of people really thought that Chimeras were going to do much. Is that, you were the underdogs?
Yeah, our draft grade online was a D. I think we were of the 8 teams. I think we were expected to come in 7th place.
No.
Yeah, and you had Lee Whitwell. Who were the other two?
It was AJ Caller, Annalie Waters, Lee Whitwell, and I.
Okay.
And a little Cinderella story. Lee Whitwell was the tournament MVP.
Yes, I remember
for her incredible singles prowess.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of heart, and we knew we were underrated, and we made it all the way to the finals and had a great final against Ben John's team, BLQK.
Yep.
And lost in the finals, but that was so much fun.
Yeah, I remember that. And I remember the pickleball news around that pretty much every day or during that weekend was like, the Chimeras, they're still like, and Lee and everybody, and Kyle's bringing the energy. And like every single day, it was just like, here they go. And what was the feeling there? Like, as you go into it, you get a D. You're looking at that. Are you like, come on, guys? Or like, does that give you extra fire?
It gave us fire. It gave us fire because we knew we were a good team. We were shocked because I think AJ Collar was still fairly new, but he was very underrated. And Anna Lee wasn't the Anna Lee Waters yet, but we knew how good she was. And Lee Whitwell, we knew she had game. She was people didn't think of her that much, but we knew she was great at Ernie's, big, strong, and she's got good ground strokes. So we thought, hey, if we play our cards right, we can make a run in this. And I think we were undefeated after the first 2 days still. Finished the regular season in second place, made the finals, and it was fun. Yeah, we won some dream breakers and made it. I mean, MLP, it's just crazy. There's nothing else like it.
I feel like that was the moment too where I think a lot of us realized like what the potential of Major League Pickleball was, because I remember a conversation with you, Kyle, when you were like, did you see Lee Whitwell hit a passing shot on Deco Bar? Like, what other sport does that happen? Lee Whitwell is 47, Deco Bar is however old he was at the time, like early 20s, I don't even know, late 20s, I don't. But like a Deco Bar versus senior women pro, like you never get that in sports in any other capacity. So I don't know. I thought that was an awesome moment.
So you get all the way to the finals there, you lose. Was there disappointment, or were you mostly like, we showed the world, everybody's still talking about us, the pickleball community? Like, did you feel like you left it all out there, or was there any like regret exiting the first MLP?
We were pretty disappointed. We thought we were better. We actually thought we were a better team. We actually beat them in the regular season earlier in the week.
Yeah.
And they lost them. They made some strategic adjustments with their mixed teams. And we had a chance to make the decision to push it to a Dream Breaker. And we decided that we weren't going to play it too safe. We were just going to go straight up with them and try to beat them head to head, and instead of throwing a match to win a match, we just wanted to play them straight up like we did earlier in the week, and it kind of backfired on us. I think it would have been interesting if we could have pushed it to a Dream Breaker and thrown Lee Whitwell against Ben Johns. That would have been pretty entertaining final, but it's hard to have any regrets. I mean, you still just you appreciate the opportunity to even be there.
Yeah, I mean, but as a competitor, like, I know also that you go through.
We knew we had a
and
chance.
you're like, what could we have done? Should we have adjusted? Could we have adjusted? Would this have made a difference? Like, probably breaking down everything.
I'll tell you what hurt even more was our Heartbreaks final against BLQK last year.
Ooh,
if you want to get into that one too.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
So last year I was drafted to the bus out of Columbus, Ohio, and was traded to the Heartbreaks, which is still a team this year. So I was traded to the Heartbreaks with Andre Descu, Georgia Johnson, and we picked up Sierra Gate and Leach.
Yep.
And we made a run to the finals against BLQK, and our ladies, who were underdogs, beat the undefeated Irina in Paris in the first game. So we took up 1-0. And the whole point of Andre and I being a team was we thought we would be able to lock down the men's doubles. And so winning the women's doubles, we thought if Andre and I now could hold up our end of the bargain, we're up 2-0 going into mixed, we have a shot at winning. And man, Zane and Rafa Hewitt just played lights out, and they beat us. And at that point we knew, wow, we just squandered an opportunity. And they ended up taking both the mixed because we had to go straight up. We didn't want to play them in singles, and we lost that. So again, another finals appearance. I appreciate being there, but when you get so close and you actually see the opportunity and it gets away from you, it's tough.
Maybe stings a little more, right?
Because it was so close.
Having a shot, yeah.
Because
never having a shot, you never like get the taste and the dream of like victory and being like, this is gonna be awesome. Yeah.
Is there anything you would have done differently in that matchup? Like, now that hindsight's always 20/20, and I'm sure you ruminate and you're like, oh god, I should have done.
I would have liked to have played better. I would have liked to have played better. Those rapid scoring games, they go so fast, right? So we had a hard time just slowing the ball down. It just kind of got away from us early, and we couldn't catch up.
That's tough.
Does you winning at the U.S. Open with Andre this past weekend make that loss to BLQK any less stingy?
No, but it felt good. It felt good. I mean, I love that guy. Andre's a really good friend of mine. So it was a fun win.
Good. Yeah. I like Andre a lot. So let's go now to this season of Major League Pickleball, because you've been, you were originally drafted to the Las Vegas Night Owls.
Awesome ownership group.
But you don't have to
Awesome
live in Las
ownership group.
Vegas.
I didn't have to live in Vegas.
And
But it was
how?
an amazing group.
Okay. Who did you communicate with? Because we know Caitlin. We know who else is on the ownership? Tom Brady. And the tennis player.
Kim Clijsters.
And
Callie Simpkins.
And then there's another Tom in there too, I think.
There are a few others.
How often did you talk to Tom Brady?
Oh, maybe just a couple times a week. Not that often.
Okay, you check in.
No, more just texting Giselle.
Okay,
but
cool.
Just kidding. No,
Mr. Studio Girl.
Kim was awesome. She would call us or send us a video message and cheer us on and whatnot. And she came to the event to watch, so she's a big pickle fan. But mostly talked to pickleball chick Caitlin. But they were awesome. They took such good care of us, and they were so invested. And I really appreciated being on their team. We came out just a little bit short both events, and they just felt like they needed to make a change.
So in Mesa, what happened?
We started out great. We won a Dream Breaker against the Hustlers, against McGuffin's team.
Yep.
So we're up 1-0 after the first match. So we're feeling really good, really confident. Then we go into our match against ATX, which is J-Dub, Gabe, and the Kawamotos.
Yep.
And the Kawamoto girls played lights out, stole the women's in a really tight one. Declan and I were able to win the men's against J-Dub and Gabe. And then we split the mixed 1-1. I think Lauren and I had 2 or 3 match points in mixed and couldn't close, lost 23-21. And then we got our butts kicked in a Dream Breaker. And really bad in a Dream Breaker. And they went by point differential for that event first. And so that killed us. In fact, we would have been better off throwing our first mixed match. Instead of winning 21-19, we would have been better off losing that 21-19 and losing 3-1, and it would have saved us 14 points in points differential.
Because of the Dream Breaker.
But
Yikes.
we were going for the win, so we didn't think about the time. But in hindsight, that would have saved us 14 points. And then we ended up losing the next match to Seattle Pioneers, Ben John's team. And we did not there were 8 teams, I think, that went 1-2. And we were one of them, and our point differential was terrible, so we got eliminated. So we were one point away from making the quarters. So that was tough.
That's
so we leave there thinking, what could we have done different? We were this close. I mean, one net tipper away. So we thought, you know what? Tough pill to swallow. We'll regroup and we'll do better in Daytona. And then we get to Daytona.
Okay.
And we start out, we play Hustlers first round again. And our girls lose a really close one. Declan and I blow a 20-16 lead and lose the men's. And then our number 1 mixed team loses a really tight one. And then Vivi and I blow a 20-15 lead on Tyson and Anna. And we lose 4-0. So that hurt to start the weekend. And then we played the hard 8s, Riley Newman's team, and we won in a Dream Breaker. So we're like, okay, we're still in this. We just have to beat who else was in our group? Man, I tried to get it out of my head because I don't think it went very well for us.
Purged your memory. Well, that's okay. So
They call that repression in psychology.
It didn't go well for us, I remember. I remember now. It was the 5s, Annalise team. And we lost 3-1 to Annalise team and we got eliminated. And at that point, we're all, the 4 of us, the players, our team, we're all looking at each other like, all right, some of us are, if not all of us, are getting traded.
And that was like the common, like you knew, everybody knew.
We knew. I mean, it is what it is. It's it's a business at the end of the day. As good of friends, we made with our owners, there's a lot on the line for them, and they did not make the quarterfinals both events, so they feel like they've got to make a change and try to salvage something from the season. So we knew something was going to happen. We just didn't really know what.
So what was the
But
conversation like there with you four? Was it just like, well, it was nice to play with you guys all. We know that we're not going to be together. Like,
Kinda.
was it like that, or was it more just like
Been real.
the feeling?
I don't know. It was we loved our team. I mean, we were playing Mario Kart, all together in the evenings.
Aw.
Like we all stayed at the same house. We all got along so well, and we're all good friends. So it was that bittersweet. Like, well, it was fun while it lasted. We had a great time, but we know we weren't going to be able to do it again. But we didn't really know what was going to happen, and I didn't really know how fast it was going to happen. But I think by the time that I drove from Daytona to Fort Myers, Florida, which is about 4 hours, I think by the time I got home, I was already notified that I had been traded.
And how did that feel? Like seeing that initially, were you like, I suspected, or were you just like, ugh?
No, I
What?
suspected it. I
Okay.
suspected it. I was fortunate though to. I mean, I was traded to the Florida Smash
Yeah.
for Travis Rettenmeyer's team, and Travis is a buddy of mine. He lives an hour and a half away from me. I got traded with Vivian, and I absolutely loved playing with Vivian, and I loved having George Johnson on my team last year. So I was like, you know what? I got traded, but I really like my team again, and it's
Yeah.
three people that I really get along with, and I'm excited to compete with. So it wasn't like I wasn't super happy about it or bummed. It was more of like all right, cool. Like this is good. This is fine, but it is what it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, getting traded is different than getting dropped, obviously. So you're still in the league, you're still on a team, you still have a chance to win. And is there still any, like, let's fast forward to the next event, and it's you, Florida Smash versus Las Vegas Night Owls. Is there any extra fire at that point, or is it just like, this is probably best for the trade was probably best for everybody, it is what it is? Or are you like, I'm going to prove to them that, even though I'm happy where I'm at, the trade, they should have, thought about it a little longer?
I don't need there's not any animosity.
Okay.
I'm sorry if that's not the answer you really wanted.
No,
but,
no, I want the real answer.
But the real answer is I don't need any extra motivation. I've got plenty.
Okay.
So it's not trying to prove anything to them. I'm already doing enough to prove to myself that their opinion of me is irrelevant to me.
Okay.
So I've got plenty of motivation to go and do well, other than just competing against them. So yeah, if I play the Night Owls, yeah, you bet I'd like to kick their butts, but I want to destroy everybody.
Okay. No, I like that answer. That's a good answer. And have you, in your prep to, well, before I get into that, you touched on Mario Kart. Who was the best Mario Kart player?
Man, Julian Arnold and I had some battles.
Okay.
Julian was there, so yeah, he would bring it, and we had some battles, so it was tight.
Are you playing
Was
200cc on the Switch? Is that what you're playing?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I'll start practicing. I'm playing 50cc right now with my kids because that's all they can handle, so it's hard adjustment. Like this, playing 200cc all day long, you don't notice how fast it is. But when you play 50cc with your kids all the time and then try to go back to it, it's hard.
Tyson's just out here dominating his two little daughters.
I do.
That's how we feel playing pickleball against you, though.
It is true. No, I also agree. Like, that doesn't bother me.
That's actually a pretty accurate description.
It is, honestly.
From pro to amateur level, you're like, okay. This
And
is fine.
yeah, no, like,
You're still playing, but it's like way.
a younger me probably would have been hurt by that, but I'm not. But I hit some balls with a couple pros like a couple weeks ago. And then I went back to my regular group and played. And the volleys felt like slow motion. Like I was feeling like I was in the Matrix. I was just like, this is how a pro feels when they play me. But even more than that. Like it was insane. Like it was the first time I'd ever really been like, the volleys aren't that fast and I can see where they're going. Like it was incredible. Is that how you feel all the time when you play non-pros?
That's how I feel when we switch to the Franklin ball. But yeah, for sure. I mean, I teach a lot too, but
yeah, so you see it all the time. Okay, so let's get to this this new team, Florida Smash. What are you guys doing as a team currently to make sure that you win in San Clemente?
well, we've practiced tomorrow. as a team.
Ooh.
First time?
Wow.
First official practice with the four of us. Because
So you've been
Vivian,
doing secret practices, or what are you alluding to?
No, I can't share that information.
Okay.
Because Vivian is just about a half hour away from me right now. George is
Okay.
a couple hours across the side of the state, and Travis an hour north. So we're all getting together tomorrow for some practice and work some things out. And I'm playing the PPA San Clemente with Travis the weekend before,
Oh, nice.
just to get a little more competitive environment together with him. But I'm stoked to play with him. He's a gamer. Funny story. First time I ever played against Travis Rettmeyer in a tournament. He was trash talking me so hard the entire first game, and they had game points on us, and we stole it from him, and I'm pretty sure I beat him maybe 11-0 second game.
Was he still chirping, or did he?
He was
quiet up a
yeah.
little
Well,
bit?
I quieted him a little bit.
Okay.
But I won a hands battle with him, and I think one of my shots hit the net and got past him. And I remember he looked at me and he goes, "You stay off that net, I win that hands battle every time." And I just laughed like, "Whatever, dude." And the rest of the match, I was just ripping everything right at him.
That's awesome.
Great.
It was one of his first tournaments.
How did that turn into friendship after that?
Yeah. That blossomed into friendship?
It's just that's just mutual respect,
Okay.
Romance.
Real recognizes the real.
Yeah. No, and he is
I think
real.
you guys will play well. Yeah, I feel like that's a good. I feel like
He's
that trade was a
feisty.
win-win.
He's feisty. I think he's gonna bring the dog out of me for sure.
Okay, so you got your first official practice. Are you going to tell the people where it's at so the fans can show up and gawk?
Or broadcasters.
You don't have to.
It'll be here in Fort Myers underground.
Okay.
Ooh, nice.
And what do you think you four as a team need to do to? I mean, you've all played together a little bit. You're all familiar with each other. But what are some of the things that you really need to pull together to make sure that you perform to your best in San Clemente?
Well, we think with energy is the main thing with MLP. I think we're gonna have some good energy. I know the Florida Smash team for this past event lacked some team chemistry, and I think that's what Travis was going for with the trades. He wanted someone that would make George feel a little more comfortable, and he wanted someone that I think would play a little more with him, a little more in sync with him. And I think I can adapt and play with anybody, but I think Travis's energy is going to be really good for me to keep me hyped up and energized. And George will be very comfortable with Vivian. Both those girls are always super positive. They're going to play well together. George is going to lock down the left side. Vivian's going to lock down the right. Travis is probably going to want to play the left with me. We'll see how that goes. But I'm fine being the role player. But I think we'll mesh really well. So I think we'll bring that energy and a lot of confidence.
How many yellow cards?
You know what? If I don't get at least a blue card, I'll be disappointed.
Blue card. Yeah, I forgot the colors, but yeah, blue cards.
Blue and orange. I think blue's the yellow card, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I have a X's and O's question for you, because how do you approach that when Travis likes playing the left, he likes to be aggressive, you then have to adapt more to a reset role. How do you feel about that? And how do you approach that, I guess, playing the balancing act?
I've been playing a long time. I play with a lot of different partners. I've won the US Open Men's Pro 5 times with 4 different partners and different styles. I used to play the left side with Ben, and I played the left side. Actually, we wouldn't even stack with Dave. And then I started playing the right with Matt, started playing the right with Ben. I played the right with Deckel and Andre. So I'm starting to settle in that right side role, but I think I'll be fine. I think with Travis, I want him to be aggressive. I want him to just be dialed in, and I'll support him, and I think we'll be fine.
Cool.
Okay, so what are your predictions? San Clemente, Florida Smash winning it all? That's what we like to hear at the end.
Yeah, but I think Florida Smash is to be coming.
Okay. Do you want to say that with more conviction, or that's what we get?
No, we're coming. We're coming.
That was a little better. Yeah, that was a little better.
We are.
And where is pickleball going from here?
Yeah.
Like you've seen it all. You've seen like 10 years. That's like 100 people years. 10 pickleball years is like 100 people years. So what are we seeing in the next 10 years in pickleball?
Somebody's gonna put a pickle roll on the moon.
That's happening in 10 years.
I mean, it's crazy. 10 years ago, there weren't even real courts. 10 years ago, there were only 3 paddles on the market. 10 years ago, there wasn't even a national tournament, really. I mean, so who even knows? I'm nervous. I'm nervous right now with what's going on with people trying to just take over the entire sport. I don't think a monopoly on the whole sport is the way to go, because pickleball is one of those sports where people love to play it. So a lot of them like to watch. People just love to play it, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think we get caught up too much in trying, to get all these flashy, all the bells and whistles and get on TV and make it like this huge production. And it's exciting as a player for sure, and I appreciate that. But people just love playing. I mean, you go to some of these local parks and you ask them who, if they've ever heard of some of these top players' names, and they go, "Oh, I don't care. I just like to play."
So do you go to a park and go, "Hey, have you guys ever heard of Kyle Yates?" And
they go, "Oh, the guy who just won the U.S. Open."
Yeah. Oh, the guy, what? Yeah.
So locally they have, but no, people just love pickleball. So I just hope the sport keeps that. I hope we don't get away from that too much.
Okay. Well, you heard it here first, and I agree. Like, I think that everybody knows that people love playing, and right now everybody's trying to figure out how to get people to watch and how to get the biggest audience to watch, and maybe there's a balance there between keeping the love of people actually playing versus getting the audience to tune in,
and versus getting everyone using illegal paddles and hurting people.
Yeah.
We don't have to get into that.
Okay. That's another conversation for another time, but maybe we'll have you back for that one.
Paddlegate 3.0.
Yeah. Kyle, thank you so much for your time and your energy, and for all the things, honestly, that you've done for pickleball over the past 10 years and still being here. Where can people follow you? Like, do you want people to follow you on Instagram, or would you prefer no?
Sure. Yeah, sure. I'll post there every once in a while.
Okay. And what's your handle?
If you want to see some cool highlight clips occasionally. But yeah, Instagram, KyleYates.pb.
Okay.
Obviously. If any of you are interested in going on awesome vacations, I teach pickleball on luxury vacations, pbplaycations.com. So, we're going Punta Cana, Costa Rica, Greece, Mexico, I mean, all over. So
what's the website again?
PB Playcations.
Okay.
Because, vacation's just a little boring. So I like to make it more fun.
Yeah, I like that.
Do you need any assistant roles from the back end of that? I'm available for hire.
Oh, I just barely pushed send on my application. Sure. Sorry.
And then also
production manager, I've got you.
So this little brand, PB1965, PB1965.com. Got awesome apparel, hats. If you see me wearing it, we got a new paddle pending USA Pickleball approval. That's pretty good. So you'll catch me playing with that pretty soon.
Cool. Excited to see it. That. And this is your own brand, right? Like so you're also a fashion designer.
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
Like you, Tyson. We have so much in common.
I'm not a designer. I just wear it well.
Yeah.
Give me the gear, I'll wear it well.
You design your outfits together.
That's true. I do coordinate outfits. Thanks again, Kyle. Thanks, Michelle. Until next week. But I guess I got to do the closing where follow Major League Pickleball on all social medias for all the news and all the hype. And you can also watch anything from their past. Go to majorleaguepickleball.net and click the little watch tab at the top. That'll do it for us this week. Until next week, see ya.